practices, and experiences. It also aims at establishing long term engagements and showcasing the rich heritage and culture, customs, and traditions of either state, enabling people to understand and appreciate the diversity that is India. Thus, Holy Cross College of Northeast and the Sacred Heart College of Southwest India have joined hands to promote this mission of Ek Bharat, Shrestha Bharat. In this regard, this is our third webinar that we are jointly organizing, all of which are of were of international standards. And in this juncture, I would like to quote a famous saying which says, coming together is the beginning, keeping together is progress, and working together is success. Actually, we started thinking, we came together, and this initiative was between Sacred Heart College and Holy Cross College, taken by Dr. Pius. I have to make a mention of Dr. Pius and his head of the department, Dr. C.B. Matthew. And of course, we just thought, but without the involvement of our principals, honorable principals, Dr. Father Benny, our honorable principal of Holy Cross College, and Dr. Father Prasant, honorable principal of Sacred Heart College. They both encouraged us, along with our IQAC coordinators, support of our IQAC coordinator. That is how we started coming together. And as I said, coming together is the beginning. And then we organized one webinar and we started progressing. And now we are really working together. Both the colleges are working together. And definitely, we know that we are aiming for a successful accomplishment of the mission of Ek Bharat, Shrestha Bharat. Well, in today's webinar, we have a galaxy of thinkers in the form of scientists from across the globe in the same platform. We have our honorable principals, undoubtedly, and our students who are our future citizens and torch bearers. And in this galaxy, the pole star is our resource person, Professor Abhik Gupta from the Department of Ecology and Environmental Science, Pro Vice Chancellor of Assam University, Silchar, Northeast India. He is here today to guide us and throw light on the topic COVID-19 and other zoonotic diseases, some ecological and ethical issues. A very current issue, you know, at the present situation, at this pandemic situation. Well, Professor Gupta's areas of interest include environmental pollution, policy, and ethics, in which he has published over 200 research articles and book chapters. His awards and honors include Water Boys Messenger Award from the World Water Council of Kyoto, Japan, Fellow of National Institute of Ecology, India, Erasmus Mundus, Senior Scholarship and Erasmus Mundus, India, Namaste Academy Staff, grant at the Netherlands, Spain in 2008 and 2014. He has served as the PI of international projects from Switzerland and Australia and delivered invited lectures at different uh, institutes in Australia, Spain, USA, Netherlands, Japan, and India. He has successfully supervised 27 PhD and 8 MPhil dissertations. Therefore, today's webinar, I'm sure, will act like a springboard for the students to think ahead and take responsibility. I believe that accepting responsibility is the fulcrum of success. Uh, As I introduce our resource person, Professor Abhik Gupta, I would also like to introduce our principals, Father Benny and Father Prasant. Father Benny, our Honorable Principal of Holy Cross College, Agartala, is a very dynamic personality, a very knowledgeable person with in-depth uh, concept of everything that he does. And he had been a very, uh, from the very incept, I would say that he had been a source of encouragement for all that we have been doing. Likewise, I know that Dr. Father Prasant, who is commonly known as Green Principal, because he has received many accolades for his green initiative, is also equally enthusiastic for all that we are doing. So I heartily welcome both Father Benny and Father Prasant to this webinar. We have Dr. Piers Augustine, Assistant Professor of Physics, Sacred Heart College, who actually initiated this collaboration with Holy Cross College. And in this juncture again, I do mention Dr. C.B. Matthew, head of the Department of Physics, Sacred Heart College, who actually made our dream come true because he encouraged us and he guided us and he helped us to join hands together. With these few words, let us embark on our journey to the webinar by humbly requesting our beloved and respected principal of Holy Cross College to deliver the welcome address. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your kind words. Respected Dr. Abhik Gupta, Dr. Father Prashant, Dr. Pies, Dr. Matthew, Dr. Reba Chakravarti, Dr. Pankaj, and other professors, scholars, teachers, and dear students. Once again, it is my privilege and honor to extend to you all a warm good afternoon and a warm welcome. It is quite warm here. Hopefully, it is for you are also enjoying a better climate. Here we had a slight rain and weather disturbance, so I had also some connectivity problem. But then now I think we are good. I'm extremely happy that we had many webinars, but now once again today we have an important webinar where we have gathered together. And the very outset, respected Dr. Abhik Gupta, thank you very much for your willingness, your readiness to share your knowledge and time with us. And we are very much privileged and honored to have you with us. And we are looking forward to learn, to discuss and grow together with you this moment we are going to be together. And also to all our other participants, we have a vast variety of field and personalities, experts, scholars, professors, and students participate in this webinar. We look forward to in the coming days too, more and more exchanges, learning together and growing together. And before I conclude my short welcome, I would also acknowledge Dr. Reba Chakrabarti and her team, who have taken all the initiatives and worked tirelessly for quite a few weeks and made it possible this webinar. And thank you very much. And I acknowledge your hard work and all the more your enthusiasm and willingness to organize, work, share and learn together. So I too look forward to be with all of you this short moment, but looking forward to share, learn and grow together. I extend a warm welcome and wish you all the best. Good afternoon and thank you.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you, Father. Thank you for the warm welcome to everyone present in this program. Now I request Dr. Father Prashant Palakapilil, CMI, the principal of Sacred Heart College, to deliver his
Yes.
message to all the participants and to all of us. And I request Father Prashant to deliver his address, please.
Excuse me, Mr. Pankaj, I think Father Prashant was unable to get in because it was full. So he asked me to convey his regards and good wishes for this seminar. And he's very happy that we are having full strength. So on behalf of Father Prashant, I extend all good wishes for the program. Thank you. Please, you may please go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And
Thank you.
please convey our heartiest thanks to Father Prashant.
Sure. Thank you.
Now, I take this opportunity to request our speaker, as Madam said, the main person for this particular webinar, Dr. Abhik Gupta, Pro Vice Chancellor, Assam University. Madam Reba has given a very nice introduction about sir, and the introduction itself tells us many things about sir's academic background. And I think all of us are looking forward to listen to sir and his presentation. But before we go to sir's presentation, I want to also thank sir for giving us his consent to be with us and to talk to and present to our students and all the galaxy of academicians. Over to Dr. Abhik Gupta, sir.
I'm just taking 1 minute to say that today our moderator is our academic dean and our QSC coordinator, Dr. Pankaj Chakravarti. And now over to Professor Abhik Gupta for his talk.
A very good afternoon to everybody. I hope I am audible.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Reverend Father Dr. Benny, Principal, Holy Cross College, Agartala, Principal, Sacred Heart College, Kochi, Dr. Reba Chakravarti, Dr. Pankaj Chakravarti, other colleagues, faculty from Holy Cross College, Agartala, and other colleges and universities, my dear friends and colleagues, and my dear student friends. At the very outset, I would like to thank Holy Cross College, Agartala, its principal, other faculty, Dr. Reva Chakravarti in particular, to have kindly invited me to share some of my thoughts with all of you. And it's a very great initiative by you to organize this series of webinars, and I'm fortunate enough to be a part of this exercise. Actually, since I have a presentation, I won't go into more details, but I really once again thank you. And if you allow me, I would like to go to my presentation, which deals with some of the ecological and ethical issues connected with the COVID pandemic that we are passing through. So I'll go to my presentation. Please tell me whether it is visible and whether I am audible.
Yes, sir, your presentation is visible and you're also audible.
Okay, thank you so much. So as you can see, it is on COVID-19 and similar zoonotic diseases, some ecological and ethical issues. Now, actually, COVID-19 is teaching us a lot of lessons, and it has many aspects. The epidemiological aspect, the medical aspect, the economic impact, sociological impact, mental health impact, so many things. But of course, there are experts to deal with these issues. I'm just thinking of sharing some of the ecological and ethical issues connected with this COVID-19. And as you know, this COVID-19, just some basic information which may be already known to you, but I just thought I'll just give you a glimpse of that. SARS-CoV-2, that is severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2, that is the causative agent of COVID-19. And it was earlier named as 2019 novel coronavirus 2. Even now, many people are writing that. It's may not be wrong, but then more appropriate terminology now is SARS-CoV-2. And it's a group of, coronavirus, that is one of the many viruses present around us. And basically, it's one of the emerging infectious diseases, EIDs. And these are infections that have recently appeared within a population, or it was present in some population, but then now spread over a very large geographic range, or spreading among other populations. So these are emerging infectious diseases, and these may be caused by totally unknown infectious agents, new ones like this SARS-CoV-2, or maybe known agents which were present in some area but not spread to other area, but now have spread to other new locations, or previously known agents which are now we are finding new role in specific diseases, or something which went down some disease but has again reappeared. So all these are coming under emerging infectious diseases, and SARS-CoV-2 is one of the, COVID-19 is one of the emerging infectious diseases. And one thing is that 70% of these emerging infectious diseases are zoonotic. That is, infection which is naturally transmissible from vertebrate animals to humans. They're coming from the animals to humans, and therefore zoonotic. And again, this could be bacterial, could be viral, could be parasitic, protozoan, etc. But majority are caused by viruses, and of course viruses can really spread very fast, and therefore they pose a great threat. And RNA viruses are also emerging as a very great threat. Now there are several factors because of which these zoonotic diseases, especially zoonotic viruses, are increasing. That is because of travel, because travel has increased so much, both domestic travel within a particular country and also international travel. Then more and more people living in very densely populated areas, cities, slums, and so on. More people coming into closer contact with wild domestic animals. Because why? Because either we are making some commercial production of meat, and then there we have packed animals in very close proximity of each other and with human beings who are working with them, or also we are destroying habitats, wild habitats, and then people are coming in contact with wild animals in areas which were earlier totally pristine. And also, as I told you already, industrial meat production is a very dangerous thing, and there we have problems of animal rearing and slaughter. Then destructive ecological changes, changed land use, climate change, all these are increasing the threat of zoonotic diseases, and we'll try to look into some of these issues. Now, if we look at these milestones, these are not very good milestones, but we can see the different zoonotic viral disease outbreaks. Sometimes because many of them we don't know, because they were small outbreaks, but had all the potential of becoming very big, but for some factor or the other, they did not damage us so much. But one, that is the first one, 1918, the Spanish flu that all of us know, it caused 50 million deaths. So it still remains the most devastating zoonotic viral disease so far. Then we had many more at different intervals. Ebola, in recent times, 1976, it had struck us. The number of flu, some of which became even pandemic level. Avian flu. Avian flu have circled in red because this had all the potential to become a very dangerous pandemic, but then somehow it did not, for many factors. Then again, we had this SARS coronavirus, the SARS-1, and that was in 2002. Not many deaths, but the mortality rate was high. Then we had the MERS, or Middle East respiratory syndrome, coming through camels. Again, death is not much, but then death rate was very high. And now we are having this COVID-19. And this afternoon I checked, the world death number has caused crossed 900,000. So it is also a very major pandemic, and we all know the associated problems with this pandemic. Now, we can ask a question at this point, that whether such a viral pandemic was totally unexpected, and I would say certainly not. And it's very interesting to know that not only, in these days, but then quite early, an ecologist, one of the founders of ecology, Charles Elton, he had made the theoretical predictions long ago in 1958 in one of his books. And there he said that besides nuclear bombs and wars, which can have explosions, we can have ecological explosion. And in ecological explosion, a living organism sort of explodes out of its bound. Could be an infectious virus like influenza. He had predicted actually, or a bacterium like the bubonic plague, or a fungus. And he said, he used the word explosion because it means the bursting out from control of forces. Ecological forces keep them within control, and when these are disturbed, then there is a kind of bursting out from this control of forces, which can be very bad for us. And then very well-known, I think he was a Nobel laureate, microbial geneticist, Joshua Lederbach. He said that the opening of wild lands to human occupation will also increase the occurrence of these zoonoses. So he could predict that in 1988. And also J.E. Cohen, he said, he had a very interesting quote, the wild beasts of this century and the next are microbial, not carnivorous. Lions and tigers are not going to attack us, but it will be the microbes who will be pouncing upon us. Also, in one of the recent papers in 2018, some researchers, Affelt and her colleagues, they said that, well, a novel bat-based, coming from bat, some correlation. So they could see really, they could predict that the possibility. And actually now an attempt is going on to build a global atlas of zoonotic viruses. And there is viruses that can infect human cells. And also we have the global Virome projects, connect or lack of coordination among the various actors, among scientists, among, science. Therefore, I think our reaction was a kind of a bit of a jerky, and then perhaps we could better. So actually my purpose is not to go into the physiologics of SARS-CoV-2, but just I thought receptor binding domain, when it comes to our cells, it attaches to the ACE2 receptor in many of our cells, which are found in our blood vessels, lungs, heart, so many kidney, renal tissue, everywhere. So, and they bind to them, and therefore this binding capacity allows them to and produce replication, etc., etc. Finally, they produce this mature virions, which are again released, so that we call virus is being shed by the infected person, and it can infect another person, and it goes on. So briefly, this is the cycle, but there are many other things here. The immune reaction, the so-called cytokine storms, which are taking place more in some people, violent reactions, and so on and so forth. But I'm not going in. When we are trying to learn the origin and transmission of zoonotic viruses. Okay. And I can inform they just carry the virus, they are adapted to the virus, nothing happens to them. And they can directly transmit to humans sometimes, or more commonly through the transmission or intermediate hosts. And then containing the virion and viral particles, which the camel got infected, and it comes like that. And then the SARS, that is the earlier SARS, SARS-1, they're actually the horseshoe bats. These are coming, and the virus is, the intermediate host is the palm civet, and then to human beings. Then another SADS, that is the swine acute diarrhea syndrome, that is another coronavirus. Another virus which is coming through the swamp bats, and Ebola also. And this is basically fruit remnants, again through pig to human beings. And then we have our latest SARS-CoV-2. And here again a diagram to explain it, that there are the natural hosts or reservoir hosts, and then transmission or intermediate hosts, and human beings actually are the spillover hosts. Is coming from the reservoir host to a recipient host species. And so many things within human factors and all these things. We'll try to look at. And actually these coronaviruses, there are hundreds of them which keep on circulating. 7 are known to be prevalent among humans, and actually 4 were there a long time, not they're not dangerous at all. But then we have the 3 recent ones, SARS-CoV around 2019, means the coronaviruses are becoming increasingly dangerous to human beings in the recent decades. And here is a brief diagrammatic presentation. I've circled this in red to show the 3 dangerous ones. As you can see, most important reservoir host, and here in this case, some cases, the intermediate host is unknown, as I have already told you. And there is a lot of debate about this, about the intermediate host, and the Malayan pangolin or the Sunda pangolin has been suggested as possible one. Manis javanica, and a large number of research articles actually have been published between February 2020 and August 2020. I mean, like in months, you know, so many in the same month, or even within 2-3 days, 4 or 5 papers have been published. I have tried to the most probable intermediate host. You can see so many nucleotide homology with a bat COV, this RAT
Sir, your
provided
voice
by
is breaking. We can't hear you properly.
Can you hear me now?
And now we can hear you,
Hello?
sir.
Okay,
Yeah, we can hear you now, sir.
okay. And then we have, hello? Are you getting me
Yes, sir,
now?
we can hear you. No, we can hear you, sir.
Okay. Okay, I'll continue then. Okay.
Bigda, frequently it is getting interrupted. You're not audible.
So there is quite strong evidence for pangolin being the intermediate host of SARS-CoV-2. But there are evidences or arguments against pangolin as well. Several studies, one serological survey excluded a lot of animal species, and some others suggested primates or some wild felidae, that is cats, civet, etc., could become hosts and not pangolins based on analysis of ACE2 receptors. And then some people suggested rodents such as marmota and squirrels. But still, I think the pangolin still remains a very likely candidate, and there is almost unanimous agreement that the horseshoe bat and especially Rhinolophus affinis is the reservoir or primary host. And there was a summary of the things made by Han in 2020. He gave 3 scenarios, one where directly through
I think there's a microphone interruption. And
I'm trying to reconnect.
okay,
I'm trying to reconnect.
okay,
Am I audible now?
yeah, you're audible.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay. Because I had a power cut. Okay, I had a power cut. Actually, I connected to now another source, so that took some time. Okay. So scenario 1, where it is the directly known as the host, and scenario 2 also, and scenario 3, it is not the intermediate host. But anyway, there is a strong probability of this being the intermediate host. And because of this, we go into the very, very ruthless world of wildlife trade, and where a lot of ecological and ethical issues crop up. I mean, what kind of treatment we are giving, how we are treating the animals, which are also sharing this planet with us. And here you can see some of the figures, some of the photographs, one in red circle on the top. This is actually an animal market in a town in a city in China. You can see how all the animals are packed here, and people come and buy for different purposes, for medicinal use and so on and so forth. And here, actually, these two with red arrows, this is very curious, because this is a red kangaroo, but it was recovered in Barak Valley. So it was perhaps in some zoo in Southeast Asia, and now transported through Bug Valley to God knows where, and similarly many others also. So I'm sure things are, lots of such trade is occurring, illegal trade through Northeast India to various parts, and China is a very big market. And here you can see a young orangutan and pangolin scales. Pangolins are the most highly trafficked mammals right now. I mean, even it's more than ivory. And both from Africa and Asia, these are being extracted. And here you can see in Asia, we have 4 species of pangolins. Indian pangolin, then Chinese pangolin, Manis pentadactyla, which we found in Northeast region. We have the Malayan pangolin, the probable candidate for SARS-CoV-2. We have the Philippine pangolin, Manis culeonensis. And it is the most traded, I said, in the Golden Triangle, that is this Myanmar, Cambodia, this area. It is within the 10 animals. It is actually 4th or 5th in terms of the volume of trade. So you can imagine how big is the trade. And there are 8 species total, 4 in Asia, as I have shown you. I'll show you the 4 African ones, and they're the most highly trafficked animals globally, followed by elephants. And it is one of the reason is the scale, which is used extensively in Chinese medicine. And you can see here Sunda pangolin, that is the distribution. And what we can look for is, you see that in 1996, it was in the LRNT category. That is, low risk, near threatened. It was abundant at that or 1900. In 2000, endangered. So many were killed. In 2000, it is critically endangered, in the highest endangered category. Now, next step is extinct in the wild. So populations decline over 80%, and it is really on the brink of extinction because of so much of extraction due to international trade. Chinese penguins has been advanced as a means of economic growth. So when you are trying to have your economic growth on the basis of pangolins, one can obviously imagine the plight of these animals, which are just very, very shy and do any harm to anybody. And then we have the Indian pangolin and the Philippine pangolin. Indian pangolin now, because and Sunda pangolins have become highly depleted. Now pressure is on Indian pangolin. It has also moved not to see her as yet, but you can see here all from 96, around 90s they were abundant. They have become very rare. Same Philippine pangolin, now coming from Philippines also. So this is the condition of the pangolins. Just seems because Asian pangolins are down in huge, and all the 4 pangolins, African pangolin, Tang's pangolin, black belly pangolin, and white pangolin. And this is distribution, and again, all of them is now in vulnerable position, except one which is an endangered. That means it understood the store one can take out some of the Asian pangolins, and then now pressure is increasing on the African pangolins. And these are some of the routes which are followed by the wildlife trade people. And the estimated annual demand in China is 150,000 pangolins per year, and market value total is $176 million. And each pangolin costs $1,550 in 2007. Now it must be more. And this major transshipment country is to China and through Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam. Vietnam also there is a market. A lot of markets are there actually in Bangkok, Jakarta, in many parts of Myanmar, Cambodia. Mekong River is used to carry all this stuff, and influential people are involved. So, and not only pangolin, a lot of other items are going here. And these also are all our potential, sources of maybe some zoonotic virus today or tomorrow. So there's a big question now that both from the terms of a purely anthropocentric, thought of human safety, and also, of course, from a very larger ethical interest of other animals and other non-humans whom we must have compassion. Should this practice continue when we emerge from COVID-19 crisis? So that's a question that we can ask. And at the legislational level, we already have this CITES, Convention on International Trade of Endangered Fauna and Flora, which is an international treaty. But it is there, and all these are in Appendix 1, highest priority category, but still the trade is going on because it's very difficult to stop it. Maybe it can be reduced, but to stop it or make it very less is a very tough exercise, because, as I said, many influential people are involved. So actually all these countries, about maybe 10 to 15 countries, have to come together and really very actively try to stop this wildlife trade. Of course, even China has really sort of cracked down on this wildlife trade once all this COVID problem, etc., emerged. But I think more serious efforts are required by all the countries in this region. And still, about 1 million pangolins have been killed in the last decade. And also wild meat and bushmeat consumption, that is trade, is one major issue. And of course, at the subsistence level, much hunting occurs, but then that may not be so much harmful. As I said already, we need a lot of regulation among all these countries, and there are broader issues also. There are ethical issues as to how we look at the non-human world. Are we taking a very, very anthropocentric stand, human-centered stand, or are we going to take more biocentric or ecocentric stand? That is, these are the questions even common people have to ask, because we need a lot of awareness generation, even among the many communities who have been traditionally providing support and protection to these wildlife over a very long time. It is a part of their tradition, but if there is some erosion in the tradition today, I think we need to have a more, much more significant role of environmental education. Now, this is another very recent study, actually. It is still a preprint in bioarchive, and it indicates that even raccoon dogs are very much likely to be an intermediate host of SARS-CoV-2, along with pangolin. And this is a part of the global fur production of about more than 50 million animals per annum. Millions are being commercially reared in China, and now a very recent paper, as I told you, has found that this can be infected by SARS-CoV-2, and there are lots of other similarities, and therefore this animal also is a very potential candidate. It's very interesting because you can see here it's native to this China, Japan, East Asia, that is Vietnam and all these places, but now introduced very heavily to Europe. Okay, and as I have shown you, and you can see here in this photograph below, some wildlife activists found that these are really being reared in under very, very inhuman conditions, without food and water, without space. This is a farm in China where they're being reared for fur production, and these are actually, again, raises the question of introduced species, of safety for human beings, not only, but also of the a compassionate view of the animals, how they are doing in the new land, or whether they're turning into some invasive species, or whether they're being exploited for other reasons. All these are questions that needs to be asked and answered. But it's very interesting, as you can see, almost populating the whole of Europe, this raccoon dog. Then we go to another important group, non-human primates, the most important group actually from our consideration, because we are most similar to them, and zoonotic transmission. So far, no major incident has occurred, except herpes B is known to be transmitted by the monkeys. But again, there are some disturbing news coming up in some publications. Some New World monkey called TT monkey, Calicebus cupreus, and these were kept in a primate research center in USA, and there they had a novel adenovirus infection. which is very, very, typical to titi monkey, not known to go to others. And that caused a deadly outbreak of pneumonia and hepatitis, leading to death of many monkeys. But what is dangerous is that a researcher who was in contact with these monkeys, who was doing her research on them, she developed pneumonia and also developed, also tested positive for the antibody. And more serious matter is that one of our relations who had no contact with the monkeys also became ill. So that means this novel adenovirus had the ability to jump species from monkey to human being, and again get transmitted from one human being to another. So all the three steps were completed. Of course, fortunately, this virus did not become a very dangerous virus. It perhaps did not have very high transmissibility, but then it definitely raises the question that anytime such things may occur. Even this SARS-CoV-2, we never had an idea that such a pandemic could take place like this. And also another dangerous part is that the TT monkeys are likely to be the transmission host, that is intermediate host. Now, what is the reservoir host? We do not know. Are the bats or or rodents? Most likely bats or rodents, or maybe some others, but we don't know. And that's why there was a paper actually, the infectious diseases consequences of monkey business. It was written by Conley and Johnston in 2008. So actually what happens, yeah, they have of course looked at it from a Western perspective, and also, in many places monkeys play many tricks and we really enjoy. But also in South and Southeast Asia, we have a very close cultural, religious attachment relationship with the monkeys and non-human primates as a whole, and particularly in Hindu and Buddhist culture. And but what happens now? Several million tourists they've estimated, including those from Europe and USA, they visit these temples or these areas, and therefore it's a very great potential, a powder keg actually, for global transmission of any zoonotic disease. And one example is island of Bali in Indonesia, where 40 such monkey temples are there, and there is also an enchanted monkey forest, and visited by more than 700,000 foreign tourists every year from all over the world. So you can imagine if some kind of disease, some kind of viral disease cooks up there in the monkeys and have the ability to jump species, then these are potential, very, very dangerous areas. Then Swayambhunath temple in Kathmandu, many other Lopburi temple in Thailand, and close contact with humans. Often there are some encounters. They come and snatch stuff from people. People carry food. Sometimes there are bites and scratches, which is also very dangerous. And so far, of course, only herpes B virus and simian virus 40. So that's these are the things that may come to human beings and can be treated. But then there is a very large gray area and several other viruses like this rhesus cytomegalovirus in rhesus macaque. And we don't know about this. The virologists are telling that they really are not sure whether this can cross the species barrier. Like that, there are many other retroviruses also, which are now enzootic. That is, they are only confined to the macaques. But then if they cross the human barrier, then they can be very, very dangerous. And so it's a distant probability, although today it might appear distant, but then these are definitely very dangerous areas. One parallel I'll give you that is not to do with virus, but with a protozoa. Now, in Malaysian Borneo, now the major malaria transmitter and malarial parasite is not Plasmodium vivax or Plasmodium falciparum, but it is what is commonly known as monkey malaria, Plasmodium knowles. This was confined to monkeys only, confined to macaques, but then forest-dwelling macaques. But now this has crossed the barrier, been able to infect human beings, and now this is the main form of malaria in those parts of the world, and the infections in human beings are steadily rising in the whole of Southeast Asia. So this is one example. It's not a virus, but that new threats could emerge at any point of time. unless we really take some corrective steps in terms of the ecology of the forests and so on, because this is mainly due to deforestation and increasing contact and conflict with the monkeys and between the monkeys and the human beings. And here is one picture of the sacred monkey forest sanctuary, because this reflects a very good culture on part of this part of the world, where species of trees are conserved along with temples dating back to the 14th century. And then Bali, this long-tailed monkeys, these are their habitats. They have been living here, but also coming in contact with human beings, because the villagers view this forest as a very important spiritual center, educational center, and therefore many people come to visit it. And the monkeys there are addressed with a respectful title, Jero. So many people go there. Many, you can see here two tourists sitting here and then interacting with the monkeys. But that's why these are very good, I should say, examples. But then at the same time, we need very good, compassionate and ethical management policies for such places, where we have to ensure a safe environment for the people as well as for the non-human primates who live in our close proximity. So we need a lot of policy approaches. And then another ecological aspect I'll quickly pass through is that pertaining to climate change and habitat degradation. And actually there was this Nipa virus infestation in Malaysia, Bangladesh and India. Now in Malaysia, it was first linked to the El Nino event, because of which there are forest fires in Indonesia, this Kalimantan and South Sumatra. And then because of this, a lot of smoke was produced, and the fruit bats which are long flyers, they came to Malaysia and Singapore, and there are pig farms. So what happened is the bats settled here in very large number, and then bat saliva on fruits, half-eaten fruits were taken by the pigs. They got infected by the Nipa virus, and it got transmitted to human beings. Another theory is that, well, it's not due to the forest fire, but because this area there has been a great increase in intensive horticulture. A lot of fruit trees have come up: mango, jackfruit, durian, all these. And because of this, there is a huge food source for the bats, and that's why they have come here and colonized this area. And there are pig farms, pig sties, which are very close to the orchards, because lack of space, so everything is jostling against each other. And because of that, the chances of infection had increased a lot, and then finally people got infected. So this shows another, I think, for me, I take it as an example of two things happening at the same time. One is, of course, the human interference with the environment in the form of climate change. The other is our craze and our sort of running after economic growth in a very, very unsustainable manner, because the priority is not in sustainability, but the priority is getting growth at any cost. So I think the cost sometimes is becoming very high for us also, when there is some backlash like this Nipa virus, or now we are experiencing COVID-19. And in Bangladesh, actually this Nipa virus, it was a direct transmission from the bat to the consumer, because of this tari that is made here, the date palm liquor. And in West Bengal, actually one very habitual tari drinker, he died from, not from drinking tari, but from Nipa virus. A very sad case actually. So here no intermediate host was involved. And like that, there are many other places. Nipa virus spillover. There are some bat hunter groups in Cameroon, Africa, and they are very much susceptible. And today what happens, it won't remain confined to Cameroon, because of global travel and a lot of interaction and all that. It may spill over to the whole world. And also 56 species of bats are hunted and consumed in Asia by many communities. Maybe earlier it was a sustainable subsistence kind of activity, but now it is becoming untenable. Bats are also used in traditional medicine, and also the bat guano is a very good fertilizer. So now people are inviting bats to come to their farms so that they produce they shed a lot of guano, and that can be used as free of cost fertilizer. So all these are posing threats to us. And deforestation and habitat loss in Southeast Asia. If you can see this map, I don't know whether it is very clear. The yellow areas are the forests which are remaining, and the other areas, the green areas are degraded forests, and the white areas, of course, no forest, and the red are having deforestation going on in the dense area. So you can see it's a very large area which is deforested. It's an issue, and there are so many species of bats here in China, in Taiwan, Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, Philippines, everywhere. And all these bats, their habitat is getting disturbed. They are coming closer to human habitation and posing a threat. The viruses which are living very harmlessly in their body are becoming very harmful when they undergo recombination. They can undergo recombination very fast and then can jump the species barrier through the intermediate host, or sometimes directly, as we have seen in the case of Nipa virus. And here are some statistics of forest loss in all these areas. And so it is a very, very serious issue, and maybe in parts of India and in many other places. And so what I would, in the last part of my talk, I would just like to draw your attention that I think that we need some change in our conservation policy. We are conserving priority species in priority areas, but we are not paying attention to the least concerned species or near threatened species of IUCN. So these are the healthy components, I can say, of the biodiversity, whereas the threatened species are the sick components. Now we have to take care of both sick and healthy components. I think the conservation strategy has to become more inclusive. And we have seen during COVID pandemic, all kinds of wildlife have been coming out, both threatened as well as the common ones. And we cannot take a kind of exclusive priority view of that. Although there are practical difficulties, but then I think this is one serious thought we have to give. I have just shown a diagram where we can see that there could be conservation of both priority and non-priority species, priority and non-priority areas in all sorts of habitats. And this should be the new model of conservation in the post-COVID era. And it will also ensure local food security, livelihood safety. Because this is another thing we have seen in the so-called migrant labor migration, and again back migration and so on. It is mainly because our rural resource base has been destroyed. Along with that, I mean, it's mainly the biodiversity, agrobiodiversity. All these are getting eroded very fast, and because of that, people are forced to migrate to cities and then live in slums, and a lot of problems are being generated. And also, actually, there is the Half Earth project, that the half of the earth should be conserved. This is initiated by Edward Wilson, the doyen of biodiversity. And of course, whether we agree fully to his idea of conserving the half earth, because we have to think of the human beings also. But as scientists put it, that human as part of nature, not separate from it. We have to think like that. And actually, I recall the words of Zuyers, a Dutch philosopher, who said that humans must think now as partners of nature and participants in nature, and not master of nature. Because many of these problems are coming out, are emerging from this mastery attitude over nature, as COVID-19 has shown us. And we also need to take immediately the One Health approach, means a holistic health approach, the interconnection between people, animals, plants, and their shared environment. That is, we cannot think of improving our health if we neglect the health of the animals, or health of the plants, or health of the ecosystems. Here I can show you that this is Australia, the Hendra virus. And now in their concept, the One Health was that they found a vaccine for the horse, and that's how they prevented Nipa virus, Hendra virus transmission. And in Nipa virus, you can see here how this is being transmitted. But I would say we should go one step further. We have to conserve the habitat of the bat. The bat is not a, it's not a culprit or something, because its habitat is getting lost. So it is coming in our contact more and more and giving us the virus. And the virus is getting a chance to recombine and become more deadly for us. So we have to do something here at the root. This is not the root. And therefore, I think summing up the lessons that we have learned from COVID-19 is that we have to evolve and adopt more holistic, ecological, and inclusive models of conservation, as I showed you. That we have to have conservation in every place. In every city, there must be conserved areas, not concentrated in some high priority area. Yeah, those have to be there. The high priority species have to be there, but we have to be more compassionate towards all non-human animals and plants. Inhuman wildlife trade must stop. And for that, legislation is not enough. We need education and awareness, and it's everybody's business to stop it, to put a stop to it. Develop and implement the One Health approach. And actually, this is a part of the Ek Bharat, Shrestha Mahan Bharat or Shrestha Bharat campaign, or so we can take pride that perhaps we had an example of One Health approach in that at the time of Emperor Ashoka, whose edict in Dhauli, Odisha, proclaims that medical attendance was to be ensured to both humans and animals. He was thinking of both humans and animals in 273 before BC. So I think we can take pride from that, and India should lead in providing or in making reality the concept of One Health. And I also refer to finally to my favorite author, Barry Commoner, who inspired me to study ecology, that everything is connected with everything else, as we are seeing, and there is no such thing as a free lunch, because if we think we'll destroy forest and then survive and pollute water and then survive in the same way, well, no. COVID-19 teaches us a lesson like that. Thank you very much for these are some of the selected bibliography which I have used. So thank you very much for your kind attention. I'll stop sharing the.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. I think Professor Abhik sir has given a very nice presentation to all of us. I am not from a science background, sir, but I was very sincerely listening to you, and I can very confidently say that I have learned a lot about zoonotic diseases. And looking at the responses from the participants,
so
it's very encouraging, sir, that everybody is acknowledging and appreciating your presentation. I think we have learned a lot. So we have a couple of queries from a good number of queries from the participants. If you permit us, we can take up some questions if you have some time, sir.
Okay, sure. I'm just trying to come back to the screen.
Okay, sir, we can already see you in the screen, sir. You are.
Yeah. I think mine. I mean, at my end, something happened. Yeah. Okay, fine.
Okay.
I think I'm here now. I can see you also, right?
Okay, sir. We have a couple of questions, and I think one person, Mr. Joydeep Majumdar, has asked actually 4 or 5 questions. But I'll take his one question and others' question, and after that, if we have time, we'll go to his other questions. So, sir, the question is from Mr. Joydeep Majumdar, and his question is: what would be the basic policy government may adopt in India or any of the particular state to pre-recognize any kind of zoonotic diseases which have minimum to maximum infections to humans and simultaneously impacted the economy and social dynamics?
Okay. I think it's not a very easy question to answer, but I think we have to, at a very decentralized level, at every block or district level, we have to find out the hotspots. What I believe, that is, where there is some possible, future spread of disease. We should not neglect such places. Okay, and from our examples, that for example, some example that I have given, and there are many like that, from there we can easily, taking information from these, we can try to identify these hotspots, and these may be very important economic activity for that particular people or that people of the district. In that case, we should try to find a safe alternative or a safe form of doing that business. For example, I tell you this Nipa virus. I mean, you are doing some orchards. Okay, fine. You are producing mango, jackfruit, and all that. One has to do because we need to revamp our economy also. But if we are doing, for example, pig rearing at the same time, we have to take care that at least don't bring the pigs closer to the mango trees. Keep them slightly apart. That way, we are ensuring some safety for us. Secondly, try to have some buffer forests around us so that the bats don't come too much or the monkeys don't come too much to human habitation. Let them leave also, because they mostly come because there is food shortage in their natural environment. So this way, I think that's why I said that we need more inclusive conservation model where we can have conserved areas in almost all places scattered throughout the landscape. That way we can provide habitat to animals, and then that way we can stay safe and the animals can stay safe too.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for your response. Before we go to the next question, one announcement for the participants. Please be connected with us, because at the end of the session, we'll be sharing with you one feedback link. And this is compulsory for your certificate. You have to fill up that link. We'll share it in here, Google Meet. The second question, sir, from Mr. Artis Bashak. His question is, if viruses and bacteria evolved before primates, hence it is likely primates have already been exposed to such microbes during our evolution. Why is it that natural selection hasn't eliminated our vulnerability towards zoonotic diseases?
Uh, well, I really don't know, but one possible thing is that yes, all viruses are not found in all animals. See, bats are carrying certain groups of viruses. We are also accustomed to some viruses. Some viruses
I think
got adapted,
uh,
or they have got adapted to us. But these other three, we are not adapted to them so far. So they are creating violent problems in our body. So for example, you see this SARS-CoV-2. Some people are not violently reacting to this virus, and they are remaining asymptomatic or producing very mild symptoms. Some people are producing very violent symptoms. Now, one theory is that the people who are having these violent symptoms, in that case, in the initial stage, they are not responding to the virus and not getting adapted to the virus, and then there is some sudden violent reaction when the body recognizes, and a lot of these cytokines are produced and other substances, cytokine storm it is called, and that's how the person is affected. So this way, I think the adaptation is not to all viruses for all the animals. They are very often quite specific. So I think this is the reason that we will keep on falling sick due to the viruses now and then. We have to take care of that.
okay, so thank you. So the next question is from Mr. Joydev Majumdar again, and his question is, in case of zoonotic diseases, if any domesticated animal is suspected or probed, common policies to cull them for safety of human beings. If it's spread through threatened, what would be the government policy to contain the disease? Kindly throw some light on that.
In my opinion, culling is a reactive policy. Reactive step is never the ideal step, because and from an ethical point of view, culling is not the answer, because we are allowing, because of our economic gains, because of our profit making mindset, we are making them we are rearing together, and they disease and the disease is spreading. If you see how the poultry are kept, by these poultry farmers, I mean the intensive meat production there, or the pigs, how they are kept, it is totally, terrible. And because of that, the disease is spreading, and then we are culling. So the preventive thing is that we have to, rear them on a sustainable basis, have more land or more area, and give them a better living space, give them better food. That is the proactive preventive policy, precautionary policy, and that is actually more ethical policy. What we are now following is totally unethical, and we should abandon that practice as early as possible.
Thank you, sir. Strongly agree with you, sir. So we have many questions, but if you permit, we can take at least 3 more questions, if not
Okay.
all, if you permit.
Okay.
So the next question is from Mr. Gautam Bhattacharjee. Dear sir, it was a learning experience from your lecture. My question is, what is the methodology with regard to ecological studies that can be done to understand future pandemics?
Well, as I said, you have to perhaps first identify the potential reservoir hosts. I'm talking in a very, a very simple way of approaching, maybe in a given area, in a local area, where we could do, or any of our students could do, is that locate the potential reservoir hosts, or the transmission hosts, and look at how these are faring in that area. What is the condition of their habitat? Are they being trapped or killed for purpose of wildlife trade, and so on? And if we can gather data on that, a database on these things for every district, for every state, then we'll be in a far better position to take preventive steps to prevent any, at least that won't be the epicenter of such a disease anymore.
Thank you, sir. The next question is from Mr. Arijit Paul. His question is, molecular biology, upon blending with artificial intelligence, is supposed to formulate algorithmic possibilities for the genetic makeup of all upcoming possible pandemic in future. So how much likely is this going to help human beings to cope up with such zoonotic diseases?
Well, definitely these are very, very promising and very powerful tools that we are going to have. And already, if we go back to 1918, when we had the Spanish flu, and the kind of technology that we had at that time, nothing absolutely. But still we had to do mainly based on intervention, non-pharmaceutical intervention. But today we have a lot of pharmaceutical intervention and a lot of other interventions, and in future we'll definitely have better interventions. So definitely, when the technology is put to good use to tackle such situations, definitely we are going to benefit from it. But only thing is that the technology policy must be oriented towards giving priority to such exercise.
Thank you, sir. The next question is from Mr. Pushpendu Chakravarti. Sir, should scientists also be cautious about vaccine-induced immune pressure driving mutagenesis and advantageous escape viral variants?
I'm not a virologist, really. I think a virologist will be really able to answer that. Those who are, because this is basically again a thing related with virology research very much. So definitely all safety measures have to be adopted. I can say that much.
Mr. Ananya, please put off your mic, please. So the last question from today's presentation, there are many more, but we are taking the last question, is with the increasing population of human beings for the past few decades, it is very much likely that in the future there may be more of such severe zoonotic transmissions. How can we mitigate such an unprecedented pandemic in the future to a rudimentary level?
As I told you, if it's a new zoonotic virus, I mean, every time we will not have any ready drug, very likely that we will not have any ready drug or vaccine with us. So I think a better policy will be to contain it as soon as it is, we come to know about it. That is one. Containment, very efficient containment has to be there. For that, again, we need, international cooperation and awareness at a very high level, at the very highest level of policymakers. I mean, for example, if this coronavirus, this COVID-19, if it could have been confined to the country of its origin, in a more efficient way, then we could have perhaps prevented this pandemic situation. So that is one. And before that also, again, as I said, these ecological measures, I think, are very important, whereby, we have to blend the ecological and economic measures together, and regarding resource conservation and sustainable use, all these are going to help us. Not one thing, but a kind of a holistic approach where we bring all these factors along with improved medical interventions. So all that should come together to make Earth a safer place.
Thank you so much, sir. I think it was indeed a very good discussion and interaction. And I think your presentation where you suggested to revise the conservative policies and educating and making people aware about the things. And at the end, everybody's efforts is required to deal with the pandemic is, I think, the valuable words and understanding that we can take out from this particular presentation. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us and for such a nice deliberation from your part.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. Matthew MJ, HOD, Department of Zoology, Sacred Heart College, to propose the vote of thanks. Over to Dr. Matthew MJ.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are very much audible.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Pankaj Chakravarti. Good afternoon to everyone. It is my honor and privilege to have been asked to propose the vote of thanks on this occasion. First of all, I, on behalf of Holy Cross College, Agartala, and Sacred Heart College, Kochi, would like to propose hearty vote of thanks to our distinguished speaker, Dr. Abhik Gupta, Pro Vice Chancellor of Assam University, for taking time off from his hectic schedule to be with us today. Thank you, sir, for your very interesting, informative, insightful, and thought-provoking address. You touched upon almost all the aspects of COVID-19 and other zoonotic diseases from an ecological and ethical perspective, right from their origin and transmission to intermediate hosts, transmission hosts, climatic and ecological factors influencing their severity and spread, as well as the road ahead to contain and prevent their spread. I am sure that all the participants have benefited from your words of wisdom. You were also kind enough to clear the queries of the participants. Thank you very much. I would like to thank Honorable Principal of Holy Cross College, Dr. Father Benny K. John, CSE, for having graced the occasion with his welcome address. I am also grateful to the Honorable Principal of Sacred Heart College, Dr. Father Prashant Palakapalil, CMI, for his blessings and message conveyed through Dr. Pius Augustine. Thanks are also due to the Honorable Vice Principal of Holy Cross College, Dr. Father Shaji ML, CSE, for his support and encouragement. I wholeheartedly appreciate the hard work of Dr. Reba Chakravarti, coordinator of Ek Bharat Shrestha Bharat, National Integration Movement from Holy Cross College, who is also the head of the Department of Zoology of Holy Cross College, for meticulously planning and organizing this international webinar. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your excellent organization. I thankfully acknowledge the contributions of Dr. Pius Augustine, Assistant Professor, Department of Physics, Sacred Heart College, Kochi, who is the coordinator of EBSB movement from Sacred Heart College, for having actually initiated the process of collaboration between the two institutions. Thanks are also due to Dr. C.B. Matthew, head of the Department of Physics, Sacred Heart College, who is the guiding force behind the EBSB movement. I also would like to mention with gratitude the name of Dr. K.M. Johnson, AQAC coordinator of Sacred Heart College, for his constant support and encouragement. I am very grateful to Dr. Pankaj Chakravarti, Academic Dean and IQAC Coordinator of Holy Cross College, for having kindly accepted our invitation to be the moderator of today's webinar. Thank you very much, sir. I also extend my thanks to the faculty members of the Department of Zoology of both colleges for their enormous cooperation and in the organization of this event. My special thanks to Mr. Jinesh Agustin for helping us with all the technical support. Finally, I am thankful to all the participants from around the globe for attending this webinar. You have been very enthusiastic and interactive. I am sure that you must have benefited by attending this webinar in one way or other. Thank you once again and wishing you all a great weekend. Thank you. Over to Holy Cross College.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, please go ahead.
I would like to thank Dr. Matthew for supporting this event. And without your cooperation, I don't think this would be possible. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, dear participants. We have shared the feedback link in the chat box, and you all are requested to fill it carefully because the name and the details that you put in there will reflect on your certificate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you, Bharat.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, sir. Abhik, Gupta, and all others. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. May I leave now? Or
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay,
Have a
thank you,
great
Father.
weekend. And
okay, thank you, Reva. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jinesh, hello? Hello?
I want to thank Sir Pankaj for being the moderator and helping us out so much. Thank you so much, Pankaj sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.